Hey guys, this is Hunter with H for Heroclix, and we are back again today with another starter set review, although this is actually a Fast Forces. Today we're going to be talking about the Superman Legion of Superheroes Fast Forces, and it is a Fast Forces dedicated only to Legions of Doom, which is really cool. And hopefully, since this is a villains Fast Forces, we're hoping that they're kind of testing the waters and may continue doing this in the future. Like maybe if there is a Flash set, maybe they do a Rogues Fast Forces. I don't know, I guess we'll see. But all of these characters in this Fast Forces can also be found in the main set of Legion of Superheroes. And if you'd like more information on Legion of Superheroes, check out our last episode of our podcast where we talk about the figures that are best for sealed and kind of talk about the set in general. It's really good. So we're going to go over everything that's included in this Fast Forces and let you know if I think it is worth the $16.99 price tag MSRP. And I'll also go through each figure, break down what it is, how good it is for its points, and give it a rating in modern age on a 1 to 5 scale. So as far as contents go, there's not much in a Fast Forces. If you guys have never purchased a Fast Forces before, they're not designed like a starter kit. Starter kits will usually have some dice, it'll have a PAC and a rulebook. Fast Forces are just meant to be an easy package to get all of a certain theme, and it's also meant to give you figures that are easy for team building, because each figure in the set of a Fast Forces is usually a multiple of 50, sometimes multiples of 25s, but whatever the case may be, usually the point values of each figure will add up to where you can easily make a 300, 400, or 500 point team. And so that it's great for new players, it's great for experienced players if you want other versions of these characters. Fast Forces, you know, those are the pros and cons between that and starter set. So as you'll notice here, this is all that's in the box. It's just the 6 figures, their cards, and then a 2-sided map, which I will break down, spread out, let you guys get a good look at it and review it towards the end of the video. Let's break down each figure and talk about how good it is for modern age. First figure to talk about is 001 Lex Luthor, who is 100 points and kind of an interesting figure. First of all, he has the calculator team ability, which is an excellent one, which is wild card. He only has a 100 point option, like I said. He does have Indom, and he has 6 range and then standard combat symbols aside from the Indom. His trait is stealth, and then opposing characters using Superman ally team ability cannot ignore hindering terrain when they draw a line of fire to a character within 4 squares of Lex Luthor. So that's pretty cool too. Albeit it's not going to be that good competitive wise because it's only on one specific team ability, but it's thematic to Lex Luthor himself. He has a phase. He starts with a click of phasing, a 9 attack pulse wave, 16 defense mastermind, and a 2 damage special power called Smartest Man Alive, where he gets leadership, outwit, perplex. When he uses leadership and mastermind, he can be considered 200 points. I don't like the design of this figure, and especially not for his point cost. As you see, he has no move and attack. He has his first 4. He only has 1 click of an attack above a 9 for a 100 point piece that is supposed to be a support / attacker. He's not going to be doing much of either. He does have leadership, outwit, and perplex, but I don't know. I feel like he does a little bit of everything, but that little bit he does isn't quite good enough. I also hate the design of him in the fact that the only attack power he has is Pulse Wave, yet he has powers that make him want to be adjacent to your own guys by him having Mastermind and Leadership. Those are 2 powers that make you want to stay adjacent to your guys, but yet they give you Pulse Wave, which you never want to use next to your own guys. So it's like, make up your mind. If he had some running shot where he could start out the turn for the leadership and then running shot Pulse Wave, that'd be different, or vice versa. But as stands, I don't like the way they designed him. I think the wild card helps him, but overall I think he's a 2 out of 5 for modern age figures. Bizarro is one of the better pieces out of this Fast Forces. He does have also 3 point value options, which also adds to his playability. He can be played at 275, 175, or 75. And each of them brings slightly different clicks to to the table, he has the Injustice League team ability, which is a pretty crappy one. It's one of the worst ones in the game, in my opinion, actually. It's basically, if you're familiar with Avengers team ability, which by now you should be since Avengers is so popular of a team ability, it's basically that except for attacks. So whenever Bizarro makes an attack, that action doesn't count towards your action total, but that doesn't really matter enough to really be a positive in my mind of him having that team ability. I think it's a kind of a poor team ability. I would have much rather him been a wild card or something more useful. He has 6 range, 1 bolt, the wing symbol, and the Indom symbol. And he has a trait that works specifically with Lex. When a friendly Lex is within 4 squares in line of fire, Bizarro gets +1 attack and defense. Now if you start him at 275, which I kind of like him the best at, he starts with charge, an 11 attack with a special super strength. When he uses super strength, light objects give him +3 damage instead of +1. And ultra heavies give him +1 instead of +3. So you're going to put out light objects for him. And he has a 5 damage already. So you have a 10 movement charge with an 11 attack, a 5 base damage, but a light object is going to put you up to an 8 damage. So an 11 attack, 8 damage is pretty nice, albeit for 275 points. It's quite a bit, but that's a hard enough hit to kind of make up for it. The other thing I like better about the 275 option is when he takes a couple clicks of damage from an attack, he'll still be on a good click. He has 1 click of hypersonic that you can only find at the 275 point option, and that's 2 clicks in after the start click, where he has hypersonic and the special attack ability, which will let him hit really hard and then get back and hopefully kind of do it a couple times before he gets pinged off of it. If you start him at 175, he loses the special attack and he has charge and invul. If you start at 75, he starts off with flurry and poison and slightly lower values. They all kind of play a little differently. His playability and his rating are going to be decent because of the multiple point options and them all being pretty solid. I like the 75 and the 275 the best. Overall, as a figure, I feel like he's a pretty solid attacker. He's not going to certainly by any means be a meta piece, but he may be a pretty solid piece for your local constructeds, especially at 275. He'll be a fun and a legitimate threat on the board. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5 for Modern Age. Cheetah comes in at only 50 points with the, again, not very good team ability of Injustice League, and with the animal keyword, which is a pretty good generic keyword. She has 2 clicks of flurry and blades with 7 movement, 10 attack, which is pretty good for a 50-point figure. Then she has a special defense power with a 16 value. She has super senses, and then when she evades, you can place her adjacent to the attacker. So that's, you're like, oh, that's pretty nice, because then when she's getting shot at as she's moving up to use her flurry blades, if she manages to avoid, she can go right up next to them and then have, you know, no risk of getting shot. Here's the problem with Cheetah. A couple problems. Number one, she's only 4 clicks long, which I'm not sure why she's only 4 clicks long. I have no clue, because the dial is not that great for 50 points. If they had packed a ton of stuff into this dial and then made it only 4 clicks long, then it would have been worth it. But as is, it's not even worth. I mean, it'd take 8 clicks of these clicks to be worth 50 points. She does pick up some exploit on the next 2 clicks with still having blades, but she has mediocre values. She never has move and attack. She's just really, really poorly designed. I mean, unless you hit that super senses, she's not even going to be worth her points. And most of the time, she's not even going to be close to worth her points. I don't like this figure at all. It's another 2 out of 5, if not 1 out of 5 for Modern Age. Black Manta comes in for number 4, and he is not a bad figure by any means. He's 125 points. He has the Dolphin move and attack symbol, 1 bolt, 7 range, and he has Indom. He has the, again, not very good Injustice League team ability. But overall, his dial is pretty solid. He has 3 clicks of running shot with a special attack power, where all his ranged attacks always generate knockback. Don't forget he has the Dolphin Transporter symbol, which gives him move and attack, so if you need that option, you have that as well. And he has a trait. At the beginning of the game, you may place Black Manta in any water terrain within 8 squares. And when he occupies water terrain, he gets +2 speed and defense. Now, if you can hit map with this guy, which he has soldier keyword, which is a great generic keyword and it will help you to get a theme team easier and get map. If you can get map with this guy, his water powers are going to pay off because he has the +2 movement and defense, and he has the special basically teleport 8 squares, and at the end of his dial he gets 2 clicks of regen, and if he's in water he gets and he rolls a 1 or 2 on his regen, he gets to use it again for free. So if you can make a theme team with this guy and get a map with enough water, he's a pretty dang good figure, albeit a little bit pricey at 125. Without water though, he's basically just an average figure. He has 2 clicks of pulse wave there after the running shot, and then 2 clicks of blades and the special regen. Overall I like him though, and I don't think he's a bad figure. I think at worst he's an average figure, and at best on a good map with a good team he's a pretty dang good figure, and I'm going to give him overall a 3 out of 5 for modern age. Solomon Grundy is the 5th figure in this set, and he's kind of one of the better options out of this overall kind of bad Fast Forces. He's 150 points. He has the Injustice League team ability, which I've already talked about. He ignores hindering on movement, and then he has a trade and a couple special powers. His trade is when he's knocked out, remove him from the map and place him on his card. While he's on his card at the beginning of your turn, you may heal Grundy of 1 damage. If he's on click number 1 through 6th, so when he dies he'll be on click 9. At the beginning of each turn you can heal him. Then once he gets back onto 6, all the way up to click number 1, you may place him in any starting area or square of hindering terrain and basically put him back on the map. So as long as you can keep healing him up while your other figures are still on the battlefield fighting, and then whenever you feel like it, when he's on clicks 1 through 6, you can put him back on the map. Now your opponents are going to score him each time, but it's really nice to have that option of him coming back if you need him to. So in bigger point games, because he is 150 points, so in the standard 300 point game, your other 150 point figures are most likely going to get knocked out before he gets back up to some good clicks. But that comboed with his 5 clicks of steel energy in the middle of his dial will help keep him alive for a long time. And on a lot of those steel energy clicks, even though he only has a 9 attack, he has close combat expert with 4s and 3s on damage. So you can go ahead and pump the CCE into his attack and let him, hit and heal up every turn. He doesn't have willpower, which kind of sucks, but he has a special defense power on his top clicks that is going to help him out too. When he's dealt damage, you roll a d6 and ignore up to half of the result. So it's invincible, but potentially better. And then towards the end of his dial, on top of steel energy, at the beginning of your turn you can heal him 1 on top of that. So he has lots of healing power stuff. Overall though, just a slightly above, or about an average figure. He is one of the better ones out of this Fast Forces though. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5 overall. He's just a solid beater. He's hard to take down if you play him right, and in big point games he'll be very good. And last at number 6 we have Giganta, who also has the poor Injustice team ability. And she's 100 points, she's a giant size, and has improved movement, ignores characters, and if you're familiar with giant size you also know that giants already naturally ignore elevated and hindering on movement. So effectively she's ignoring characters, elevated and hindering. She has a movement power on her first 3 clicks with charge, flurry, and sidestep. And so you got to think, sidestep plus having giant reach really gives her a pretty long swing when she's affecting the board and she's moving around. That's really nice. Having the sidestep and then the charge and then the flurry on top, or the giant reach on top of that, really helps her get to where she needs to get. I mean, effectively with sidestep plus the charge and with the 10 movement and then the giant reach, you've got a 5 charge, sidestep of 2, and then a giant reach for an extra square, so she can get to people that are 10 squares away, which is really nice. Then the fact that she has flurry on top of that, and then for the number 2 through number 4 click, she has a special power that is really nice with her dial. When she moves 3 squares or less and actions resolve, she can use Quake as a free action. Well, what moves 3 squares or less that she does for free? Sidestep. So every time it's your turn, you can sidestep. You moved 3 squares or less and actions resolved, you can now Quake as a free action. And then you can now charge and flurry somebody else. So she's a great dial. The downside of her dial, though, also on the positive note before I get to the bad thing, she does have Outwit for 3 clicks on the end of her dial. But the bad things about her dial is, just like Giant has its benefits, it also has its negative things too. It is easier to shoot her. Unless you can get map choice and pick, some indoor maps and take advantage of the terrain, she's going to be susceptible to shots. But I think if you play her right and you're really smart with her, she can dish out 100 points worth of damage pretty easily. I kind of like this figure. I think it's the best one in the Fast Forces. I'm still not going to give her over a 3 out of 5 for Modern, because she's going to be pretty finessey, but I think she's one of the better ones out of the pack. And I want to summarize these figure reviews by saying that she is really the only one who's just as good or slightly better than the main set version. All the other versions of these characters that are in the main set of Superman, Legion, and Superheroes are in fact quite a bit better than these Fast Forces versions. So just if you guys are planning on getting the main set, just in my opinion, I think you're going to get better versions of these characters in the main set than you are out of the Fast Forces. So let's, with the figures summed up, let's go and take a look at the maps before we do an overall review. Alright, on the maps. One thing I noticed is both maps have a mix of indoor and outdoor. First one we have here is Hall of Doom Slaughter Swamp. This is Solomon Grundy's map. As you can tell, there is tons of hindering and water terrain all over this map. And it's pretty basic, starting areas on the sides here. And then on one side of the map, there's the indoor section that people can run into to hide for a minute. There's those boxes are kind of blocking lines of fire, and then you can see the yellow line indicating that that is indoors. This is a cool map to have, and Black Manta, as well, as we said, needs water. So it's really cool that they included in this OP kit a map that has this much water and this much hindering, which is great for Grundy and for Black Manta. So you're already being given a map that helps those two characters get the most out of their dials. The flip side is just called Hall of Doom. And even though this is technically an indoor-outdoor map, because it has very small corners of outdoor terrain, it's pretty much an indoor map. 95% of it is. You've got some elevation change. You have one kind of room here that's elevated, but it has walls blocking it, so you're not really going to be able to sit up there and shoot down at everybody. So it's basically a map that has lots of different rooms representing the different rooms in the Hall of Doom, and some hindering here or there, but your standard fare indoors map, which is nice since they don't. It seems like lately most of the maps they've been putting out are big outdoor maps, so I guess it is nice to have one of these maps that's great for close combat teams with lots of ways to block line of fire as your guys are moving up. This would actually be a good Giganta map because it is indoors most of the time and there are tons of walls, so you could kind of stay safe until it's time for her to sidestep into a room and then charge and giant reach hit somebody. So again, another map that helps one of the figures in the starter set get the most out of their dial. So I like that. Overall, the maps are pretty good. So in summary, we need to answer our question of, is this worth the MSRP price? What does it include? It includes 6 figures that are for the most part mediocre. In fact, Cheetah is below mediocre. She's below average. The rest of them are average or barely slightly above average. And I feel like my major point is, as I said, the main set versions of all of these are better, just as good or better than these versions. Giganta maybe is about equal, but the rest of them, their main set versions are better than these versions. If you The only good thing is, though, most of these characters, aside from maybe Lex, since he gets clixed a decent amount, everybody else, it's probably going to be a very long time before they get clixed again, so it is great to have another dial option for these guys. If you're a Legion of Doom fan, pick it up. If not, I don't feel like the figures are good enough and the map good enough, even though I do enjoy the map pretty well, and the map is thematic and helps the specific pieces. I feel like if you're not a big Legion fan, or you don't want to pick these guys up just so you can have another example of them, I don't think it's worth picking up. There's no figure in here that's a must own. There's not even any like must plays, honestly, in this entire Fast Forces. So I'm not trying to be negative. Overall, I like it. I mean, I am a DC fan. These are figures that, especially like Grundy and Black Manta and Giganta and Cheetah, you're not going to get these characters probably for a long time. So I do like having another version of them, and I do like the map that helps Grundy a lot and Black Manta a lot. But if you're not a DC fan, not a fan of these, don't pick it up. It's not worth your money this time around. But overall, on a positive note, this is the first time they've done a villains pack for Fast Forces, and hopefully it's something we continue to see in the future. So hopefully that helps you make your decision whether you want to pick it up or not. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we put out Clicks content every week. And we just had a Superman Legion of Superheroes unboxing just a few days ago. So if you're interested in picking up some of the main set, you want to see some of the sculpts, be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on there, and check out our podcast, Dial H for Heroclix. Comes out every week on iTunes, YouTube, and Podbean.com.